Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. Thanks everyone for joining us on the call today. I see we have a nice spread of people from around the world by the look of it, joining us for today's community call. I'm here with Lia Suzuki Sensei and Cath Davies Sensei, and I'm going to be interviewing them for the next 45 minutes around today's topic, which is acceptance and peace in a pandemic. At the end, after 45 minutes, we'll have a Q&A session, about 15 minutes. So if you do have a question that comes up as I'm interviewing, then please just send a chat message to Chris and he will collate the questions for later on. Okay, so let's get started.
Right, we got some technical difficulties. I can't seem to find Lia Sensei.
Oh,
Really? Lost the Sensei.
Let's see, where'd she go?
it's going to be a ninja interview.
I'm not sure. She might have lost service. So let's just give it a second. See if she comes back on.
Okay.
I'll text her.
Are you ready on standby to take her place, Chris?
I don't know about that. Okay, yeah, she seems to be having technical difficulties. Just hold tight.
Okay, well, maybe while we're waiting for Lia Sensei to come on, I can introduce Cath Davies Sensei, who is our other sensei. And Cath Sensei, you teach seminars across Europe, and you have a book on Amazon, Shuhari, the Aikido journey, the metamorphosis of form. So perhaps we could, while we're waiting for Lia Sensei to come back online, could you just maybe explain a little bit what Shuhari means?
Okay, it's a tall order to explain that in a short time, but yes, I will. Shuhari is, I suppose you call it a learning paradigm. It's 3 stages, and Shu is the first stage. Is a stage, it means keeping the form or protecting the form. And we do it for about the first 10 years or so. So it's simply about copying, not deviating, following your instructor. Shu. Ha is, the kanji for ha is about smashing the rock. And it's something about smashing some of the form that you've already learned. So my video's gone funny. Let me just correct that because it looks a bit weird. It's about smashing the form that you've already learned in order to create something new, or potentially. So more accurately, say to make it your own, I suppose. And then Ri is a stage, and the kanji for Ri is about a bird being stuck on a lime branch. So there's an element of being stuck, there's an element of being free, and an element of being stuck or being within the freedom of being still constrained and bound by the, and indeed your practice informed by the form, by the kata or Aikido. And at each stage you go, well, I'm sorry, say first of all, some instructors would say that not everybody will reach Ri. It isn't something you think, right, today I'm going to practice at Ri. You might attain that level, you might drop into it, but most of the time we're practicing at Shu and at Ha, and you would keep going between Shu and Ha, and then occasionally, if you're very fortunate, you might experience a stage of Ri.
Okay, wow, sounds yeah, fascinating. I need to read that book, and it's on Amazon,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. It's on Amazon Kindle, yeah.
Okay.
There's the plug, thank you.
Yeah, well, I can relate quite strongly to that. It's nice. I've never seen it put in that framework before. Of the first stage of learning is just copying and just following the instruction of your sensei. And keep practicing and understanding what they're doing and how you can what's the word I'm looking for, take on that knowledge in the physical form. And then it's kind of about breaking that open, breaking yourself open,
Break it open.
some of the rigidity of the techniques to bring your own form into it.
Yeah, and in fact, you're at the half stage up until 6th Dan. So if people think about a beginner and you think, oh yeah, give me a couple of years and I'll be, but actually that half stage is up to 6th Dan. Interestingly, Saito Sensei apparently said that it was equally as a mistake to try and rush to say the half stage as it was to remain too long at the shu stage. Too much basic practice means you actually never allow yourself the opportunity to develop. So it's an interesting thing. People can either be too stuck the basic forms or too keen to go too far too quickly.
Okay, great. So you've got to try and figure out the point at
yeah.
And maybe your sensei might help you with that and know when it's the right time to challenge you, perhaps to step up to teaching or something like, or another level.
Yeah. I think actually having a good instructor who's able to lead you that way and then know when is the time to give you your freedom. There's a chance an instructor will actually try to suppress you. It can become a bit kind of threatening, as you come to become more of a level, maybe, or nearer to the level of your own instructor. That person may feel threatened and may have a vested interest in keeping you down. But actually, you need to give the person their freedom, whilst not encouraging it too soon. Excuse me, whilst encouraging it too soon.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes, I can definitely feel that. Yeah, I've learned a lot being an instructor the last 3 years, just starting out after training with Lia Sensei in Los Angeles for a year, and Chris will remember those times as well. Yeah, it feels like I've really moved up to another level. Teaching here in England. And then you're saying like Ri is the stage where is that more about, like you said, like free? I think I read on the little note from your book, it's more about takimusu, spontaneous.
It would be more like that. Yeah. It's where you're not thinking, all right, now I should do ikkyo next, or it's more of a flowing, more of maybe using the principles, but not abandoning those principles. Aikido has a form, and those forms are there to inform and guide our practice. So you don't abandon them. Hence the kanji for Ri being about the bird being stuck on the lion branch. That you're not kind of, in orbit and doing something completely that's unrelated. Whatever you're doing is informed by everything you've learned over the last potentially 30 plus years.
But at the same time, you're not constrained by those.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, we've got Lia Sensei back, Nick. So.
Okay.
No idea what happened, but here I am.
Okay, great. Well, great to have you back.
Great to be back.
I was just introducing Cath Sensei, and we were talking a little bit about her book. So just to introduce people to you, in case they don't know too much about you, Lia Sensei is the National Director of Aikido Kengikai International USA. Your head dojo is in Los Angeles, and you have a full schedule of classes there, as well as an online virtual dojo, right?
And I've got dojos in a few other cities as well. So we're a small organization, but spread out, including one in England.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little one here in Bristol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dojo, yeah.
Great. So if let's move straight into some questions then on today's topic. Acceptance. I know you both had thriving seminar schedules before this crisis started, so perhaps we could start by how it's affected you as Aikido instructors. Lia Sensei, would you like to answer that question to begin?
Sure. Wow. It turned everything upside down and inside out. So, yeah, my seminar schedule is completely up in the air. I was supposed to be in Japan last month. Every year we have our big celebration with the doshu, and I give a demonstration along with the other international teachers, and we train. Anyway, that was all set. I had the plane ticket, I had the hotel reservation and all of that. Had to cancel all of that. And then there are other seminars that are up in the air. I go to Germany every year in September. I'm hoping that that is still a go. If it's not, we'll have to figure out something else. I really, really, really hate canceling things, especially training. You know, it's sort of like an Aikido thing, like we will train no matter what, you know. And I was one of the hardcore ones that, like, if there was a typhoon or an earthquake or whatever, when I was living in Japan, you get to the dojo and you know that, like, it's only going to be the really hardcore, really serious, really dedicated students that night. So it's actually really exciting. But this is different.
I'll probably qualify that earthquakes are quite common in Japan.
Say that
right?
again?
Earthquakes are quite common. We're not in Japan. We're not
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
big ones.
So, well, but I mean the big ones, you know, even a big earthquake, even when the trains have stopped because of a flood or, you know, whatever. It's like, who's going to make it to the dojo tonight? And, you know, even if you have to walk an hour, you get, it's almost like this point of pride that I made it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So yeah, most of your seminars are on hold for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got one in Philadelphia in June, but I don't know whether they've announced yet. I guess we're going to cancel that. I'm not sure if we'll shift it with some sort of online event. But yeah, I think that would be nice to have something that people can get together and even if it is on Zoom. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Cath Sensei, how about your seminar schedule? I understand you're meant to be teaching this weekend.
I was meant to be, and I can see Catherine. I know this from Germany, I think, on here. I was meant to be this very second, I think, probably Catherine, this is right, on the mat with you guys in Bremen, starting a seminar. Hi guys. And of course, hi, it was a hi. And of course I'm not. I'm in Dublin. So, you know, and I know Catherine and I exchanged many emails, and it's funny how this has all evolved, isn't it? You think you start talking a few months ago, I think we'll be okay by May. Yeah. And of course, you know, we sit here now in May and think, actually, that was a pretty silly thing to have thought. But at the time, you can't really believe that it won't be okay in May. So very sadly that has gone, and I was due to be teaching a summer school with Janet Clift in Greece in the UK in July. That's just gone. And in fact, where Lia Sensei and I met last year in Berlin, that Aikido Berlin, what's it called? Berlin Aikido Summer Aikido Berlin. The three words in some order. I can't remember what the order is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't see how that will go ahead. We haven't had confirmation as yet. So, and it's the thing that, you know, that they're cancelled, and you can't immediately say, okay, we'll cancel this and let's book it for September or October, because such is the uncertainty we're in. You think, will it be okay in October? Will we be in a second wave? Will we only just back? I think it's those things that are making it very hard to plan.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, these are big changes.
And not only is the question, you know, will the restrictions be lifted, but then after that, how excited, you know, are students going to be hesitant to sign? And you don't want to put the host in a bind by, like, hi, here I am, and I just bought my ticket, and here's all these expenses, and only 3 people showed up. So as a teacher, I take that into consideration too, not putting too much financial risk on the host.
Sure, yeah. So it's going to be some pretty difficult judgment calls around that. So these are obviously big changes, and I'm sure everyone on the call can relate to big life changes that have been happening because of the crisis. So I'm wondering if you talk a little bit around how you found peace and acceptance around those. Lia Sensei, do you want to answer that?
Sure. You know, March 12th, I had watched the news March 11th. I woke up March 12th. I thought, okay, I've got my game plan. And I started writing a message to all of my dojo members that we're going to come to the dojo. Everybody is going to wash their hands here. And I had this whole process outlined. And then after an hour or two, news came in that something else had happened in Los Angeles. And then another news, and so my plan continued to change. And by the end of the day, my message was, oh, no, don't come to the dojo. So the biggest lesson for me is, and maybe this ties in with Cath Sensei's book, actually, if we get too stuck on what our strategy is, what our plan is, this pandemic is just making fools of us. Like that expression, people make plans, God laughs. So that's really coming true. So, and my best Aikido classes are when I go in maybe with a lesson plan, but I give myself permission to really wander from that lesson plan and take inspiration from what I'm seeing from my students. So that's the acceptance too. If I come in and I want to do all Koshinage and none of my top students have come and it's only beginners, I can't do it. And so I have to accept that, oh, okay, these are different circumstances than what I had planned on.
Right.
Anyway, and then we got online really quickly. We were online by Monday, the 16th. And the peace part of it for me personally, I thought, well, what I need the most is just to sit with my eyes closed and do gassho and deep breathing. And I thought, boy, I hope everybody else wants that too, because that's how I'm starting my Zoom class. So, and it certainly was therapeutic for me and brought me some peace. And it seemed that it was really helpful for the students who joined that night too. So that's my technique really for when I start to get nervous, because wait a minute, I have this plan. What am I going to do for my students? When are we going to get back? How are we going to get back? Starting to get nervous, or Zoom crashed. Oh my gosh, you know. I just remind myself, Shinkokyu, deep breathing. And sometimes I even stop in my living room and close my eyes and let my arms, you know, stretch out.
Yeah. Okay. And it sounds like, you know, from that place of relaxation and opening, that new solutions appeared, and you've got your classes online now on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cath, what would you like to add? Anything to?
Yeah. I mean, acceptance, it struck me today that acceptance is the final stage of the grief cycle. And whilst I'm not wishing to equate the fact that we can't be in the dojo with the loss of somebody that we love, I'm not, so please forgive me, I don't mean to make this sound sort of trite or to overinflate the importance of Aikido. But for many of us, Aikido is a huge part of our lives. You know, whether you've been training for 5 years or for 55 years, you know, it's a huge part of our lives. And it's just struck me that acceptance, you know, so you've got kind of denial and anger and bargaining and depression before you get to acceptance. And there is a kind of almost unable to quite can believe at first that we're not able to be in the dojo with people we see so regularly and have the physical experience. It's interesting that Lia Sensei talks about breathing, because that's certainly something that I've been doing. So those of you who are linked in with me on Facebook. I talk to you. I know some mornings with photos of the sea, where I go. I'm very lucky to have beach and sea within 2 kilometers of where we live. So in this period, we've only been able to leave our house for 2 kilometers. As of Tuesday, we could actually now leave for 5. But anyway, in this period, I've been able to get down to the beach, and I stand on the beach and I just breathe. I don't, and that it's kind of, I feel it's quite kind of grounding and connecting. And it reminds you that, the Aikido, in fact, it reminded me, the Chiba Sensei said to us years ago, referring to practice in the dojo, he said, this is the little Aikido. The big Aikido, it's the stuff you're doing in your everyday life. And it's kind of important to remember that, because Aikido is more than just the time we spend in the dojo. And it has to be more than that, because otherwise it's gone at the moment. And actually, I think we all know it hasn't gone. It's inside us, and we can do stuff that keeps us connected to Aikido.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's some new things, a Zoom call such as this. Some of these people I don't know, actually quite a few, in fact, I do know, but we've never done this before. And this is a way of also connecting. Yeah. So I think the acceptance is an interesting word to have used. And I only had that thought today. It's the last phase of the last stage, I should say, of the grieving cycle.
Sure, yeah. It's a really interesting point, that Aikido is in all our everyday activities. If we show up in our Aiki mindset. So I'm curious as to how else you're finding yourself sort of staying connected to Aikido at these times, Cath Sensei.
Okay. I think for me, I guess not really contrary to what I've just said, but Aikido is, a lot of it is a physical pursuit. And so for me, having a base level of fitness is really important. I'm very conscious in this period where I'm not going to the dojo X number of times a week. There's a real danger that you lose the fitness that you need for Aikido. And that, I guess I'm somebody who likes to have a level of fitness. So for me, I have to think, okay, what am I going to do? So I did go for a run in the park and thought, I really hated that. I'm not doing that again. Full of respect, I have to say, I see Anne Barnett is on this call, and she lives in Wicklow, which is south of me, and she's been running up a mountain near us, and I'm kind of full of respect for that, Anne. I know it's something that I just can't do. However, I discovered very recently when I mowed my mother-in-law's lawn, I discovered it was nice and soft, and I have been going up daily and just doing some ukemi, and sort of going through kind of receiving technique, as if I was the UK, and receiving the techniques. And that way you can stretch, you can use your muscles. I can fall over, I can roll. And actually there's a huge pleasure for me in being able to roll and to feel like my body is going through some Aikido movements. And actually making use of that experience in terms of thinking, my body moves in that way. If my body moves in that way as the UK, when I'm the Tori, what do I need to do to make the UK do that? So it's quite an interesting sort of intellectual pursuit for me as well.
Okay, great. And Lia Sensei, how are you maintaining your practice at this time?
Well, as I said, I jumped right on Zoom because, I want simply to maintain my own practice, but then also I have some students, and I needed to make sure that they were supported in this. So I jumped on Zoom, set everything up, and started including different sorts of strengthening exercises in my warm-ups right there in my living room in front of the camera. And, for example, we'll do like a horse stance, low knee bends, and hold it for a long time. Because I was trying to figure out, how can we really strengthen our base? And I thought some people maybe are still going out somewhere, but many of them or most of them are probably in their living room. So actually I just stayed in my living room to do this, which I'm still doing. But anyway, so I've incorporated some strengthening elements in my warm-ups, and of course the usual flexibility things and everything. And then, you know, not having a partner to demonstrate things with, I started doing some weapons things, some cuts and everything. And then as I've been doing the weapons work, I've started to use the weapon as almost like the attacker. So moving around the weapon. And then I started inviting just a couple other instructors to join. And I created or took my virtual dojo a little bit further. So now I've been training also with a couple of the instructors on my virtual dojo faculty. One of them is my sensei, my senpai from Japan, Numata Sensei. He's seventh dan in Aikido, 8th dan in Iaido. And he has this beautiful melding of the two arts, which I'm just fascinated by. But of course, it's nothing as far as stamina and all of that. It really falls short of our own physical training together.
Sure. But like you say, at the same time, there's an opportunity there, because I saw you sent around the link to Numata Sensei's classes.
Yeah.
For people to be able to join, teachers who they've never trained with before. Yeah. It might not be the full Aikido that we're used to, but they're still learning and getting knowledge from some of the masters of Aikido.
Yeah, the silver lining in all of this. You know, and there's another point too, which I'm not sure if we talked about when we prepped for this meeting, but it's interesting that a few of my students have gotten injured. And I'm wondering, you know, it's not like they fall kind of funny or they step off the edge of the mat and twist their ankle. It's a whole different kind of thing. And I'm wondering if we're like losing muscle tone, and therefore repetitive movements have a stronger effect on us or not. So anyway, I don't know, and I'm not a medical professional, but I'm trying to give opportunities in my class to keep that muscle tone, not just, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, but like holding the knee bends, as I said, and things like that.
Okay, great.
Actually, Nick, sorry, could I just add something else that I meant to say? I'm sorry. That one of the things that we're doing here, and it's been instituted and being led by Detta Dickinson Sensei, who is on this call, is a group of us doing a certain number of sword cuts every day. We start off just doing 100 cuts a day, which is very little, as Detta Sensei was quick to point out, because all before I can't do that. And we've sort of built up, you know, so so we're now doing 250 cuts a day. A couple of times Detta Sensei set us a challenge of doing 500 a day, which again in itself isn't actually huge, but actually being part of the group, there are emails every day. Detta Sensei does a summary email every day. Fair play, Detta. And actually I think that being part of the group is really powerful. And you know, I'm not sure I would do 100. I'm not sure I would do 250 cuts a day if I was just doing this by myself. The fact I know I'm part of a group, I think, So since we started, I'm now keeping a spreadsheet because I'm very, very sad. So I've done nearly 12,000 cuts now since we started this. And by the time we finish, I guess it'll probably be twice that, you know. But, so anyway, that's also something. It's a simple enough thing. It's part of a group, keeps you connected, and is, you know, a small point of focus every day.
Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah.
You do sword practice, maybe get together with other people in your dojo or friends and start a group where you're motivating each other. Do some ukemi in the back garden, find a nice soft lawn.
Yeah, nice soft lawn, yeah.
Join an online class with Lia Sensei or some of the other teachers who are doing online classes that you might want to experience. Keep physically fit, you know, go for a run or whatever other ways that might you might like to do that. Is there anything else you would suggest, or any other ideas that people can maintain their Aikido focus during the pandemic?
Well, I mean, one of the things is I mean, there's a huge resource on YouTube, so there's a huge ability to look, and obviously there's a danger with YouTube too. You know, there's a load of stuff there that you might not think is a good example. There's a load of stuff we could be looking at, the books we could be reading. So actually, some of the physical aspects that we can't take part in now, or can't take part in to the same extent, we can maybe look at some of the other aspects of Aikido and just kind of shore up some of our knowledge. How much do we know about Sensei's life, about how he developed Aikido? Those are things that we might not do every day and might think, you know, I'm going to have a look.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some reading, some researching.
Okay. Yeah, great idea. Yeah. Perfect time to do a bit of reading around Aikido.
Yeah.
Lia,
I have
Sensei?
another component of my virtual dojo is a collection of about 200 videos, and it's a monthly subscription website. And anyway, the viewership and the membership on that jumped when all of this happened. So, and I've also, when this happened, I extended the free trial period to 30 days from the usual 7 days. So yeah, and that's got myself, you know, seminars of mine and seminars of other instructors that I've brought to my Los Angeles dojo, and demonstrations, instructional videos, and things like that. So yeah,
Okay.
there's
Great. Yeah. So check out the online resources at your virtual dojo, or yeah, any other things that pique people's curiosities.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question that I'd really like you to get your opinions on. And, you know, because in the UK especially, I'm not sure about other countries, but we're hearing our leaders talk a lot about beating the virus. You know, we must defeat this virus, and there's a lot of conflict language around it from our leaders. So I was wondering how, you know, as Aikido practitioners, we could look at the virus more in a way of getting in harmony with it. I'm just wondering what your opinions are on that.
Yeah.
Sense, do you want to start on that one?
Sure. First of all, when I read your questions, Nick sent us the questions ahead of time. When I saw that one on there, I thought, yes, I was really glad that you asked that. Because it's really been bothering me, you know, we're going to beat this virus, you know, and I'm like, that's like me being in the forest and, you know, I'm going to beat this grizzly bear, you know, like it just seems, yeah, it seemed ridiculous to me. And I continue to hear that. And, you know, my Aikido training, I mean, when I was in Japan, there was one person in particular that was just really scary to train with, Takahashi Sensei. And I loved him. And, you know, when we would go out afterwards, he was one of my favorite people to sit next to and chat with. But on the mat, he was terrifying. And I never got injured by him. But he had a really stern face, really intense. He was very quick, very much like a cat. In the middle of the throw, you thought you were going to die, and then you would land safely. So anyway, but he reminded me of like how to come in properly, how to go through it properly. And I had the appropriate respect for the situation, you know, and he had 10 years experience on me. So when you come into that, you go, oh, okay, whoa, okay, I'm training with Takahashi Sensei here now. Okay. You get yourself prepared for that so that you can go through it safely. And I used to try to jockey into position to be next to him as quickly as possible, say onegai shimasu to him as soon as I possibly could in the class, because I thought, this is terrifying. I'm going to have to train with him at some point, and let's just do it now. And
yeah,
so that's what I think about sometimes when I hear people talking about, you know, beating the virus. It's like if I had gone into this, you know, training with Takahashi Sensei for this technique or that technique and like, yeah, I'm going to show him, then I would have gotten injured. But going into it with the appropriate amount of respect, the appropriate amount of flexibility, not too much and not just limp as well, got me through it. And it made me a stronger person afterwards. You know, it helped me grow.
Great. Yeah. So, and not avoiding it, you know, really accepting that challenge and seeing it as, a great way for you to grow your Aikido. And
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. And Cath Sensei, what would be your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw an interesting tweet actually on this week, which exactly tapped into this, and it's relating it to nudge theory or behavioral economics. I don't know if any of you know about nudge theory or behavioral, which is more kind of commonly called that, but it's really kind of behavioral science or behavioral insights. And that kind of language, we use it around illness too. You know, I beat cancer. You know, I'm fighting cancer. Now, it's an individual's choice as to how it's your individual sort of journey, as it were. But actually, a journey metaphor. So rather than saying, for example, together we will fight COVID-19, we can say together we're on the journey. You know, and that kind of the language of conflict means that, and I think this was from the UK, that you, again was a tweet, but was quite kind of amusing, was an attitude of, we won't let the virus beat us. If I have to stay inside, it's won. And it's like saying there's a great, there's a lion eating people down in the shopping centre. But if I let that beat me, if I don't go out, I've let it beat me. Well, I'll go out and I'll get eaten by it because, we all knew it was there. And somehow, the language we use is really important. And if we use a language of conflict, and this is about priming and framing, which are principles of behavioral economics. If we prime and frame in that way, our response, we're inviting response, as it says, we'll beat it, we'll fight it. And we know in Aikido that that's actually a battle and a conflict. And we don't look for battle and conflict in Aikido, we look for harmony. So I think, the language for me, language for me is always important, but in this context, in relation to Aikido, in case you think I've wandered off completely, and now on another Zoom call entirely, sorry, is that we choose a language important. The language used is important because it primes, it promotes a response in us. And I think
and there's a sense of acceptance. I'm hearing a sense of acceptance in that when you're using the metaphor of a journey. So we're going through this, and
yes, we're going through it. Sometimes with the journey, we say we know the end. At the end, we can say that we know where the end destination is. We're going on a journey together. I think with COVID-19, we actually don't quite know what the end is, and for Aikido, we don't quite know what the end will look like when we can get back to the dojo, when we can get back to seminars. We don't know what it'll look like when we can. So. It's a journey that has that element of kind of doubt and uncertainty, I think. But I guess all journeys have some elements of uncertainty, don't they?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're in the unknown, and
we are at the moment.
Like Lia Sensei said, with Takahashi Sensei, we can control ourselves, right? Our mindset, our approach, and then we have to trust that we can handle what comes along.
Yep.
Okay, so we're getting close to Q&A time, but maybe just to finish, we can use that little segue for a quick question on the future. And we obviously don't know exactly how things are going to pan out, but do you see Aikido returning to its to our usual ways of training as before the pandemic? And if so, any idea when that might be? I'll give you 1 minute each, please, to answer this. Who would like to go first?
Cath Sensei, you want to go first?
Thank you, Lia Sensei. I don't know, is the truth. I think we will want to find a way to come back. But the most important thing is we do it safely and we do it responsibly. So I have no doubt we will be back in the dojo at some point, and I've no doubt we will all want to do it sort of as quickly as we can, but it has to be safely and responsibly, and bringing people with us on that journey. Use the word journey again. So people have to feel comfortable to come back to the dojo, and whether that's around hygiene, having an element of certainty that people, you know, themselves are healthy.
Yeah.
But I think it would be arrogant of me to sit here, or presumptuous of me to sit here and to really pretend that I have answers, because I think we are all we're in, I think, the early stages of this journey, and quite how this will look 3 months, 6 months, 12 months time, I think is hard to predict.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lia Sensei.
I keep seeing on the news certain experts that say they begin every answer with, well, there's still a lot we don't know. So that's the good way to begin. But I think that I think everything is going to be different. I think this will make our worlds change a lot. And I don't know exactly in what ways. But anyway, that includes the dojos. And, you know, of course, I'll be following the guidelines of the experts, the medical experts, health experts, erring on the side of caution. I don't know whether that will be, you know, I imagine it'll include things like maybe temperature checks at the door of the dojo. Maybe Group A is allowed to train on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Group B on Tuesdays, Thursdays, to keep the numbers low. I have no idea, but these are some possibilities. And I think these sorts of online connections, whether it's sitting and talking about Aikido and different aspects of Aikido, or whether it's getting up in front of the Zoom camera and swinging a sword and doing some actual Aikido movement, I think to some degree that is here to stay. I think that'll have a lasting impact. I don't know how it'll look yet.
Okay. Well, we'll see how things unfold.
We'll see.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
Sure.
Both of you. I'll hand over to Chris. I'm sure there's quite a few questions from people in the call.
So just for the sake of efficiency, we're going to keep everyone muted, and you can, if you go to the little chat button at the bottom, there's also a little tab to just chat me specifically. So you can just send your questions to me and I'll field them to the speakers. We did have one during the interview from Suzanne for Lia Sensei. She was wondering if you could speak to the logistics of starting a virtual class and how has that changed your teaching approach?
The logistics was, you know, to get on Zoom, to actually, boy, Christine is here. She actually donated a laptop and camera that served me much better than the phone that I was using, the iPhone. And then also people really appreciated the notifications. We use a software called Zen Planner. If you're interested in trying it out, let me know, because you can, if you go through me, I think they'll give you a discount. We use Zen Planner, and at the same time, luckily, Zen Planner started immediately adding new features for online training, for online scheduling. So that really helped. They upgraded their app. So I guess logistically, those are the big things. My teaching, well, it's completely different, of course, you know, because I like to talk as little as possible when I'm at the dojo, just give people the experience of feeling what's going on and getting a good workout. Well, I got to talk more when I'm in front of the camera. And actually, I'm still really evolving my Zoom teaching a lot, especially watching Numata Sensei, and I did some classes with some other instructors because I wanted to see what they were doing. But yeah, basically, I'd say I'm teaching more from my head now on Zoom than I do at my dojo. At my dojo, I'm allowing people to develop their intuition by sort of shutting off their brain, so to speak, and coming at it from a more intuitive aspect, if that makes sense.
Next question is from Catherine. Apologies if I'm pronouncing anyone's name wrong. This is for Cath Sensei. What would be the harmony/Aikido way to deal with COVID? I think we talked about that a little bit, but maybe for Cath Sensei to elaborate on that.
In terms of individuals, Catherine, or nations, as it were?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
What would just say the question again, please, Chris? This is a hard question, Catherine. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I guess what would be the harmonious, the Aiki way to deal with COVID-19?
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I think on an individual basis, it's about that Chiba Sensei quote, of Aikido in the dojo is a little Aikido. So we're looking at the big Aikido. So I'm very conscious of wanting to really follow the government guidelines. We have very good, I found a very good government guidance here in Ireland. And I feel a kind of sense of responsibility, to I suppose to my immediate neighbours, to the wider kind of population around me. It isn't about me. So, in the sense that if I'm having a walk in the park and sometimes I'm walking quickly, I'm wanting to exercise, you have to accept that you sometimes need to give way to make the space. And actually that's how that is. And you think, actually, I'm very lucky to be able to be out at the moment. So actually, I have to blend that with the fact that everybody else is taking their short time out of the house to exercise. So let's harmonize together to make that exercise, a pleasant experience for us all, not just, this is my exercise, I should be on the path, you need to get out of my way. So I think it's something about being really conscious about your environment and the people and the people around you, and that for me is the harmonization, I suppose, which in Aikido, and awareness of the surroundings and adjusting to it. I honestly don't know how to answer for nations, how to use Aikido principles. I'll think about it, Captain. I might email you later. that was a tough question. Thanks.
Lia Sensei, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just add, I grabbed a few O Sensei quotes before this interview, and two of them come to mind. Well, a lot of them, but especially for this question. One quote by O Sensei: "Be grateful even for hardship, setbacks, and bad people. Dealing with such obstacles is an essential part of training in the art of peace." So going back to what Cath Sensei is saying about, what we do in the dojo is nothing. Why are we really training? Hopefully we never ever get attacked and have to do shihonage. The other one: cast off limiting thoughts and return to true emptiness. Stand in the midst of the great void. This is the secret of the way of the warrior. To me, this second one really tells me to accept the fact that I don't know how it's going to look when I open my dojo up again. And if we can empty ourselves then that's when we're able to find the solutions oftentimes. And, you know, I know people who said, and I used to say, you know, forget about Aikido videos. That's ridiculous. You know, get to the dojo, train, and it's no good. And to watch videos. And here I am doing this. So, yeah, I think that's where the real growth goes. And to me, that's the Aiki way of dealing personally with the pandemic.
Anybody have any more questions? Can send them to me. Going once.
Maybe. Oh, we do have one.
Just a lot of yeah,
Nice.
people loving the conversation.
Great.
I had one little thought, kind of what Cath Sensei said, or about kind of it not being about you. You know, there's a lot of people not wearing their masks or mad at Costco because they have to wear masks. And so much of Aikido is about protecting your partner as well. And I think that that's something we can really keep in mind, and the frustrations of having to stay in our house and put this stupid thing on every time we go out, and is we're protecting other people, or protecting our neighbors and friends and people we don't know as well, which I think is such a beautiful thing happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
Very
Good
nice.
point, Chris. Yeah.
Looks like we're don't any more questions. I don't know if Cath Sensei, Lia Sensei, maybe want to give some final comments or.
Yeah, I'd just like to, first of all, I'd like to thank Cath Sensei for making time, and also Chris, you and Nick. Thanks very much for making this happen. And thank you everybody for joining and making it happen. This has been another silver lining of this pandemic. It's been really moving for me to see people coming together. Whether it's to actually move and do Aikido movements, or have these discussions. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It means so much to me, actually.
Yeah, I'd add my thanks there to Lia Sensei, and thank you for contacting me, Lia Sensei, and for asking me to do this. I've enjoyed it. Can I thank you, everybody who I've invited? I can see the lovely Anne, Detta, Nathaniel, Ramesh, Neil. Thank you, and maybe some others. And my apologies if I've missed them. I think those are the people that I had. I recognise your names, and thank you for being here. Thank you for taking part. I think for me it's been an interesting discussion. For those people in Germany, in Bremen, we'll see each other soon. I hope we will. I'm not there with you tonight, but it will definitely it'll happen when the time is right, and we'll all look forward to that very much indeed. So thank you, everyone. Keep safe, keep healthy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nick-san, close.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said it all, really. You know, thanks to everyone for coming, and obviously thanks to yourself and Cath Sensei for being part of the interview, and Chris for being our man behind the scenes with Zoom. So yeah, great.
And I think we'll send out some links to everybody if they haven't gotten them already, maybe, right? Or maybe they already have. But anyway, we'll follow up with an email with links to Cath Sensei's book, and my virtual dojo, things that people might be interested in.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Be safe, everyone.